Hey, everybody, welcome to What Drives Us, episode 474 for November 9th, 2022. My name is Russell Frost. I have the honor and pleasure of being your host this week on I guess our weekly journey. I didn't want to use week twice in the same sentence. So, on our regular journey, every 7 days ish, into the world of advanced tech mobility and sustainable energy, let me introduce this fine panel. And there's no sarcasm there because there may only be three of us this week, but we are the triumvirate you've been waiting for. My friend in the Middle Atlantic region, he is Mr. Supercharger Kacey Green.
How's it going? It's cold. Yeah. Work's busy. Getting ready to relocate again. So,
Yay! Moving is the best. It brings up the best.
It does. And we got done playing with the clock again for no good reason. 102 years on. Thanks, Greatest Generation, Silent Generation. I appreciate the war. I appreciate the results of the war, but you can keep your time flipping. Keep it.
Yeah, I wish we'd stop that daylight savings time bullshit.
We came so close, but then the house was like, "Oh, you surprised us, Senate. How do you guys come up with something? Oh no, we got to think about it." And then of course they just sat on it forever.
Luckily, my friend in Canada, he is the founder and host of the Tesla Life and a founder of the Waterloo Regional Electric Vehicle Association. Mr. Mark Coughlin never has to deal with that.
Hello, everybody. Yes, I do. I've got the time change twice a year. It happens.
Really?
But Ontario has said if Michigan and New York change, we will change.
That means it might happen.
So we're lumped in with our cross state border friends, and if they change it, we'll change with them because we do a lot of business with New York and Michigan.
Yeah.
The last couple of years taught us that there's nothing wrong with doing it now because everybody's schedule is all in turmoil. Why be slave to the clock when we could just say, "Hey, these are our business hours. Deal with it."
I also, speaking of Kacey and the war, I'd like to say Happy Remembrance Day to everybody.
Remembrance Day, yes.
Coming up November 11th, and we thank everyone for their service.
Absolutely. I don't think Kacey is a Rolling Stone. Oh, well, he lives a somewhat nomadic existence. Yes, he does, Derek. Absolutely.
Kacey's got camels in the backyard that he's planning on loading up and heading out tomorrow.
Okay, now
not tomorrow, but yeah,
that's a stereotype, Mark. I guess I don't know. Camels,
really?
Camels in Northern Virginia?
Yeah, like
in this climate,
man. They got caravans in DC. Come on,
right? Just a Model X.
just a humble little Model X waiting to be taken away. Well, thankfully, Kacey's going to kick things off tonight with a story that resonates with me oh so well. Kacey, tell us about car safety.
Yeah, so I'm playing the teacher that would just give you writing prompts and then like sit back and like twiddle their thumbs for the rest of the class and make sure nobody got out of the line. The first one I'm going to do today is we're going to talk about car safety. So Slate and MSN and Microsoft had an article that they collaborated on where the IAHS, they got together and suggested that for newer drivers that don't know how to drive, perhaps you get them a tank, like a large pickup truck or SUV. And thankfully, the people who wrote the article are thinking that's like an arms race, and it's not the best idea. But if you've been watching us for any length of time, you know that we kind of also feel the same way, that the cars are growing unnecessarily large. In fact, Sunday I had a whole rant about how we could have right-sized pickup trucks, but we don't. And then I even went into the Ford Maverick, which is barely a hybrid, but I pointed out that there may be a plug-in hybrid Maverick, which would then kind of fit with my theme on the Sunday shows. But those are the kind of like pickup trucks that are needed for most of the world, not the contractor special F-150 Cybertruck / whatever. Just the Hummer AEV is just ridiculously large for a pickup truck, and also impractical. Like the bed is useless for a contractor, but it's bigger than a contractor truck. Part of the problem with that is we showed the pictures of it before. You've got a small child facing the bumper of a vehicle, and you can't see them over the hood because it's just they've grown so much. And I wanted to have a discussion with the panel and see what's going on with this. What can we do to
Do we have to install those school bus arms on the front of the Hummer? Come out and block people from walking in front of it?
Not just the Hummer, the mid-sized pickup truck, the Tacoma is bigger than the old F-150.
I think what I find interesting about this is IIHS, which is the Insurance Institute of Highway Safety, normally a pretty rational, nonpartisan, organization. And it's weird that they would come out for, let's make everything bigger and more dangerous to protect you.
Right. Because then eventually with this arms race, you're going to end up with cars that don't even fit on their test rigs.
There's no doubt that on a very strictly pedantic level, bigger is safer is accurate. Okay, we won't argue that. If it weighs 12 million pounds and is 25 feet long, it's safer than a smaller car. But if we downsized all of the fleet, we wouldn't have this problem. Right. I don't know. That's
you're always going to have the mix of vehicles though. Like it's as long as free choice is out there, and in some cases the vehicles are for certain contractors or for certain jobs. I get that, but once a person gets acclimatized to having a large vehicle, they seem to want the large vehicle over a small vehicle going forward. Whether or not they're a contractor anymore.
Right.
Whether
they want
ever
the larger vehicle. They want to sit higher. They want to see more of the road. And the only thing that really stops that is when fuel prices go insane.
But only for a moment.
Yeah, and then it's they got to live through a fuel crisis, and then some of them will get rid of it and go to a smaller vehicle, and others just park them until the fuel crisis goes away, and then they start driving them again.
I want to disagree with Mark on one small point, and that is that big, huge, enormous vehicles, trucks so large that a not unreasonably sized adult can stand in front of them and not be seen from the driver position. This is not the norm. This is what things have been bloated up to be. And there's no reason why we can't, as a society, as a nation, go, you know what? Maybe the front end of the truck shouldn't be over X feet tall. Maybe gross vehicle weight shouldn't be over X number of pounds. I'm not against the hardworking contractors of America. It's not it at all. Those people need whatever vehicles, and that's great. Good for them. But let's be clear and let's not bullshit ourselves. Most of the people buying these things have never been contractors, don't own any tools, aren't carrying bales of hay, or
they don't tow anything, or at least nothing that would need that size.
They're buying it because they get a write-off on it, or they love big things. I can't tell you how many 80-year-olds I see in California every day driving a huge Super Duty and can't steer the bloody thing.
Yeah. And the whole I want to sit high argument is just kind of asinine when you look at like the Canoe. It's a minivan sized vehicle. You sit up taller, you sit up straighter, and it's not even like, it's not even as small as you can go and still do that. Like we've got like the Chevy Equinox is probably a decent size SUV for anybody who wants that sit up tall and fit the kids in the back. Like they need to move 5 people around at a time. It's
okay, Mark, tear me up.
You want to make a move that everyone gets together and comes to a conclusion that we don't need these vehicles. We can't convince people that we're going through climate change. like there's not a chance in hell that is ever going to happen. America is more divided than I've ever seen it in my entire life. You guys are so evenly split down the middle. Look at the midterms. Like, it's insane. Half the population is going one way and half is going the other. You're never going to get consensus.
Sometimes it's just for spite. Like when you look at some of the choices they were presented with over the yesterday, like there was like, how is that logical? Like, why did you pick them? And the answer is, oh, because they had the right color on their flag.
I don't disagree with you, Mark, but let me see if we can find a point of agreement here. And Kacey, can we agree that whether or not it's politically possible that the government can regulate car manufacturers to make vehicles within certain parameters?
They already do. They just have to now tighten those screws, because like a semi truck can only be so big and so heavy. They gave a 2,000-pound allowance in North America and Europe if they're EVs. Your cars and trucks can only be so wide, and once they hit 71 inches, they need the marker lights in the middle. It's just a matter of political or bureaucratic will to say this is safer.
I guarantee if the group that's in power says we want to make this change, I can guarantee the other side says no, you're infringing on our rights.
I'm not arguing with you. I agree. It is. Yes, you're right. That's all I'm going to say.
In a country like Canada, that could happen. In the United States, not going to happen.
Right. But all I'm saying is so we already, as Kacey has pointed out, we already regulate these things. We already tell people that what they can and can't do. You can't put 24-inch long spikes on the lug nuts of your truck. Okay? You know what I'm talking about, right? You can't do it. They do it if they could, but they're not allowed to.
You only get 6 inches.
Yeah, only 6-inch spikes. And they can only be blunted along one edge. So.
Yeah.
And JT brings up in the chat a really good point, which is his point. I won't steal it. The sit up taller argument's great until everybody's sitting up taller, and then we're in an internal arms race over who can see over who because all these vehicles are getting taller. Yeah. There's one other, and let me see this because I've heard this from people. And again, I live in Southern California, lots of retired folks here. Wow, it's so much easier to get into a taller vehicle and get out of a taller vehicle. Okay. That doesn't mean that the front hood needs to be 5.5 feet tall.
Or even the car. You can make it, they have air suspension these days. You can make the car rise up and then go back down.
Or it could just be 4 feet tall.
Yeah. Oh, we have all this technology, all these cameras. We can have like the bird's eye view.
Let's have this conversation in 10 more years.
Yeah.
We're complaining about the size of the bread boxes that are coming to pick us up tomorrow. They're too small. I want some more luxury. The person in front of me did some stuff, and now I need to bring my Clorox wipes.
Ooh.
Any fluids.
I don't even know where you're going with that, but
any fluids. What I was going for was like the autonomous taxi. Nobody owns their own car.
Ooh, yeah. No. Hose that baby out with Clorox. Yeah, I'm going to pass on that. Well, let's go to our next story. We're going to go to Mark, who is celebrating a big number for an interesting electric vehicle.
The Porsche electric vehicle, the Taycan, has sold 100,000 vehicles. Well, they produced 100,000. They probably sold close to that.
Yeah.
That it was announced that they crossed that 100,000 Taycan milestone just recently. And if you're curious, Porsche started selling the Taycan in September of 2019.
Wow, was it that long ago? Wow.
So it has been just over 3 years that the vehicle has been available. And it's been pretty successful for Porsche. In fact, Porsche as a company delivered just over 300,000 vehicles globally last year. And of that last year, 41,296 of them were the all-electric Taycan.
Not bad.
So they started out a little bit slower. Obviously, they started out with selling 19 or 20,000. Then the next year they jumped up to 30 some thousand, and now they're at 41,000. So they're accelerating. Porsche has been pleased with the Taycan's saleability, and they believe that they are going to continue to meet a goal that they've set for themselves. 50% of its sales to be all electric by 2025. So they're not far away, right? If they delivered 300,000 in a year and the 41,000 of them were a Taycan, they got about, another 100,000 to add to the total to get to that 50% marker.
And that gets them ready for 2035. 10 years early, they'll just finish out the other 50% or just take that loss on the last year.
Yep.
It's amazing to me that a company that is as traditional motor enthusiast focused as Porsche, and arguably more so than maybe any other company. I mean, Ferrari, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, Porsche has always been like they have this real ethos that's very old school. Again, very track oriented. And here they are selling a buttload of Taycans. I see them every day on the road. It's interesting. I think a lot of this is why I cringe whenever somebody from a car company goes, well, make more EVs when people want them. You know what? Just make them. Chances are you'll sell them. I don't know of any lots anywhere that has tens of thousands of electric vehicles that nobody wanted. Is anybody
Leaf and BMW i3 and the Nissan iMeave.
Okay,
that's it.
Where are they?
Yeah. Like the iMeave. Yeah, that's a good one to bring up. Like that's
I like the iMeave.
It's
fun to drive.
Time you've seen a lot full of iMeaves. Like really.
They all sold.
Exactly. And that's the thing. They're all selling. People will buy them. It's not a matter of like, oh my God, we're so overstocked. We need to do an employee discount sale to get these pieces of shit off the lot. That's not the way it works. The
other way around. They closed dealerships for Smart and who's the other roller skate?
I don't know. Smart
Fiat?
was
Fiat, Smart. All the ones that were going EV in their little roller skate cars, and the dealers were just the Mercedes and the other competitor to Smart. They were all just freaking out that you're going to make us sell electric cars, and they were just shutting down the dealerships instead.
Well, it's something that.
But it wasn't because he didn't want the cars, because they didn't want
to sell them.
Yeah.
What's interesting here with this article is that Porsche is selling more of these Taycans than they're selling of their premier 911.
Yeah.
So this is probably some wake up call to internal Porsche executives that didn't want to go with the EV program. That hey, these things are selling, and this is the way of the world going forward. So we need to pick up and continue to sell these EVs because we're obviously selling them. We're selling everything we make, and we're making a tidy profit on it. It's not like the Taycan is a cheap car. So they're selling it for a profit. And I think it's just going to bring more and more into the EV fold because, as Russell had said, everything's selling. Everything. So, whether you're at the high end, the Taycan mark, or you're at the low end with the iMev, it's there's a market for them, and especially now with the fuel crisis, there's waiting lists for people to get their hands on these things, and there's many manufacturers that are on waiting lists to get batteries to manufacture them. So it's a double wait scenario, but the more you can make, you're definitely going to sell them.
Perhaps they could get Mr. Toyota to come for a visit.
No.
Again, though, Kacey, you bring something up in jest, and it's interesting again that Porsche makes the Taycan and has made a ton of them, and Porsche, yet Akio Toyota
He's like, oh, I need the driving experience. Like, there's driving experience right there in Germany. Just go visit. Get on the train.
I want to smell gas. I want to smell exhaust. Oh.
Did he eat lead paint as a child? That might explain some stuff.
I had someone in the I don't know what we call it, the car industry, sit down and tell me as an introduction, I love the smell of gasoline. I love exhaust burning my throat. It's what I live for. And I looked across the table this person. I go, do you have any idea what I do? Like, you realize that my whole raison d'etre here is electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles and alt cars. And that person just kind of stared at me for a moment, blinked a couple of times and went, so let's talk about our plans for next week. I mean, I guess, again, you're supposed to bond with that, that. And I had a 1970 Challenger when I was out of high school. I get it. I get it. But you grow up, don't you?
Right. That part. I mean, I already didn't like the smell of gasoline, but then what really did it for me was the first time we took a field trip to the drag strip, and they started up the top fuel dragsters and the funny cars. We were in the pits, and it's like, oh my goodness, I can't breathe. My eyes are on fire. My ears are on fire. My nose is running. And it was just so freaking loud. All right, I'm going to bring my Prius back here.
and what does any of that have to do with cars that go fast? And what we've learned over the last few years, it has nothing to do with cars that go fast. You can still haul ass and burn rubber and do all that stuff in an electric car. Is it just really the burning gasoline that you're there for? Because if that's the case, dude, grab a gallon and sit in the backyard.
Right.
No big deal. You can experience
until the fire department arrives. That is,
it's not my problem.
Details.
Oh, wait. Yeah, no, the lawyer says don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that.
I mean, like, if you look at it, you can have a top fuel class electric car. You can have a funny car or electric car, and you're gonna probably burn a pack and a motor and transmission, just like you already do now. You burn an engine and a transmission, and except now that it's not gonna be silent either. It's gonna be, you're gonna hear the sound of burning rubber, the gnashing of gears. It's just a different tone. Yeah, I got nothing else because at this point I'm just sinking into just randomly insulting people that I don't agree with, and that's not really a good way to advance the argument. Although it certainly worked for the Republicans. Oh, did I say that?
Did you
Boom,
say
I'm
that
done.
out loud? Yes, you did.
I'm out. Let's go to Kacey Green, who has some good news.
Yeah. So we were just talking about the bloating waistlines of America's automobiles.
Hey! I'm feeling a little sensitive about that.
The automobile itself.
You said bloating waistline. Okay.
Of America's automobiles.
Oh, sorry.
The belt. You want to say the belt line? They're getting higher. That's more accurate.
Oh, God.
They call them belt line. The window, the belt line.
I gotta cry.
So anyway, American cars are getting bigger, but finally, for the first time in 5 months, according to Kelley Blue Book, the price has not done the same. We're now looking at the average transaction price of $48,094 in September, slightly lower than the previous high of $48,240. So it's only almost $200, but it's a step in the right direction.
It's better than 200 up.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my.
I know you guys are both Tesla owners. Mm-hmm. So this that disqualifies you from this question. And I'm older than both of you. And maybe that overqualifies me for this statement. But honestly, what the hell happened that we got to a $48,000 average sale price?
Rich.
What the hell are people buying for the name of $48,000?
You can get a base family car for $70,000 base. It's like,
no.
Yeah, I mean, you can. And we're not talking like anything extravagant. That's a freaking Chevy.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the average price has gone up dramatically, just like the average price of a house. Like it's insane. Like that 70 Charger back there that you get, Russell. I bet you only spent what, $800 on it.
Oh, It was literally, well, it was a summer investment. I bought it. Yeah, I think it was 1,100, and then we put another 1,000 into it. I went into it with a friend of mine who was a mechanic, and it was a Challenger, 70 Challenger, 346 pack, fast as hell. Got about 8 miles to the gallon on the highway. And yeah, when gas went up to like 60 cents a gallon, I wanted to cry. You know, because oh god, how am I gonna? I'm a busboy at Marie Callender's. How am I gonna do this?
That
Yeah.
was an actual like Brick's restaurant. I always thought it was just like frozen food.
Believe it or not, it started as a restaurant. Yes.
Wow.
It
No,
was
it's the average. The average price is insane. Like it's
yeah.
the price of all cars. But you know, as you saw, the financing rates just continue to. Oh, now it's 5 years of payments as opposed to 3, and now it's 6 years, and you can finance it for 8 years. You'll be okay. The car will last that long. Like it's gotten
Thankfully,
insane.
sometimes it will. Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy, but people keep paying it.
Who?
People who have to get places.
Hundreds of thousands, hundreds of millions of people. Like, it's crazy the amount of people that buy a car. And of course, you can say that people are buying the cars just for the monthly lease price. Like that's all they're concerned about is, oh, if it's $289 a month
Lease or
bi-weekly, I can afford it. But then they turn around and look at it and holy crap, I just paid 59 grand for this car.
Yeah. But I mean, not everybody, but there's so many people in this continent that are hand to mouth right now that like you said, they do just look at, can I afford it this month? And they'll worry about the rest of it later. Thankfully, these are just the new cars. You can get the used cars. Well, this Kelly Blue Book, so they're not all new cars, but you can still find inexpensive used cars. The question then is, what condition are they in? Are they safe? Do they meet your needs? And are they good for more than one person? Like, if you have put your family
are they
in it,
big enough
fit.
to kill everyone else that you get into an accident with and protect you?
According to the IIHS, you need to upsize it.
That's certainly the issue.
Yeah.
I got nothing. I mean, yeah, good news. And and as Paul has said, he's seeing used car prices soften a little bit. That would be nice. I mean, obviously automobile prices in general have just gone crazy for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And we're waiting for a market adjustment, and until that happens, until there are cars sitting on lots unpurchased, it's not going to happen. Yeah. I did notice an article the other day about an uptick in car loan delinquency. Normally it went up a couple of percent in the last few months, normally at 3. It was currently at like 5.18. That's a danger indicator right there.
It is, because that's in North America, that's one of the last things that somebody will let go, because without it, you can't get to work. Well, most people can't get to work without it because they live far from work and they don't have public transportation or the slug lines. They need the car to get to work, and if they're willing to let the car go or accidentally have the car gone on them, they're in a really bad spot.
Well, speaking of bad spots, Kacey, Patrick, who is not here, had posted a story, and I'm going to cover this and knock this bad boy out in about 30 seconds. Our friend Trevor Milton,
our
friend Trevor and I are tight. Okay.
All right.
Okay, we're tight. I'm sending him cigarettes in jail to trade for whatever it is that you trade cigarettes for in jail.
Oh, man.
And I've pretty much just given away the article. But yeah, he was found guilty on 3 criminal counts of fraud. Securities fraud, was it? Well, whatever. Yeah, securities fraud.
Is this fraud?
The only thing that shocks me about this is that Elon's still free, but Trevor's going to the can, big kids. So
So Trevor was in charge of Nikola, and during some of their hydrogen scamming, the truck rolling downhill. As soon as they went public, he bought this massive mansion, despite whether or not it would actually be healthy for the company, and stuff like that. And then I'll give it back to you, Russell, for those of us that forgot about who this guy was.
Trevor?
Yeah, Trevor.
He's just some fraudster. I mean, then there's lots of them in new industries. A lot of the people at the cutting edge are full of shit. It's just the way historically forever, that's the way it is. So, yeah, it's nice to see the system working and putting one criminally fraudulent former CEO, in jail. Now, will he actually do any time? I doubt it. He'll probably have to wear a bracelet for a while and
in his mansion.
maybe pick up trash
In the mansion he bought with the illicit funds.
Yeah, I mean, and that's because that's the way that works. But
that's punishment enough.
Yeah, you've been very bad, Trevor. Don't ever do that again.
Why don't you sit in your mansion and think about what you've done?
Yeah. So that's all I got. Let's go to our final story. Kacey Green has a story about wait for it. Diesel panic.
That's part of it. I started out with a friend of the show's, one of our viewers, Robert Williams, pointed out that he lives in the UK, and they pointed out that they're afraid that they only have 9 days of gas left compared to France's 103. And when we say gas, we're talking methane, natural gas. So their continent is involved in a little bit of a scuffle right now, and the aggressor in this scuffle is where a lot of their methane came from. So it put them in a little bit of a tight spot. And then you add to that where the UK decided that they didn't want to be part of Europe anymore. And so now they get last bite of the apple all the time. And at the same time that all of that's going on, for the same aggressor, we're having trouble supplying enough diesel to North America. And folks are saying, oh, we've got a week left of diesel. And I wanted to kind of bring this discussion to the table as well. My way of looking at it is that, no, they won't ever run out of heating fuel. And no, they won't run out of diesel. But it could get to the point where it is practically unavailable because the price has gone so damn high, trying to meet up with supply and demand. But as the price goes higher and higher, then you've got all this market opportunity to flood the market with more diesel where you can make more money. So I don't see us coming to zero, but I do see everything getting more expensive. How about you guys?
Well, hasn't this energy crisis caused by Russia, hasn't it affected all of us? For what reason? For greed, really.
Greed and ego.
The gasoline companies out there have been saying, "Well, you want to switch to renewables? Go right ahead, but we're not going to pump any more oil out of the ground. We're just going to keep it as is, or maybe pump a little less." Because the price is skyrocketing and we can take advantage of that. And that's why all these oil companies have gotten a couple quarters of record profits. It's because their profits are tied to the price of whatever they're selling it for.
Yep.
So if they can artificially make it go higher and blame it on OPEC or blame it on Russia or blame it on whoever, they will, because they're incentivized for doing it every time they do it. And you can't shake that loose like that. We're a capitalist economy, and the companies that can make bank when they can, they will do it.
Yeah.
And that is part of the reason that I looked into EVs back in 2014. That was the main thing for me. Was I just hated to see every long weekend the price of gasoline would jump for no apparent reason, just because it could. And I said, I got to get off this treadmill. I got to get off it somehow. Find out a way. What alternatives are there? And luckily, back in 2014, there were some different ways that I could do it that would work for my family. So I got off.
And the beauty of this is that there's no honor among thieves. So there's us as the consumer, we can get off of it like you and I did by getting the Volt and then going on to the Teslas. But also, eventually that price will hit the level where some country or organization or royal member will decide that, hey, this is our comfort point. We're going to break away from the pack and we're going to start producing at $1,000 a barrel. You guys can keep holding out for $3,000 a barrel all you want, but we can make do on this. We're going to let it slide. We're going to flood the market with this. And thankfully, supply and demand, once there's enough, it'll balance out. But it might not balance out where it's good for everyone else.
But how many times as a society, do we have to go through this same bang or bust scenario? Like it's ridiculous. It just happens over and over and over again. Like we just, and I realized that, this year the pain point wasn't all that great in the spring. It lasted 3.5 months or something. And then once we got into summer, the price dropped down.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden here we are in late October, price goes up again. And it's like, this is just nuts. It's if we expect this to change in our society, we're kidding ourselves. Just
Saudi
find
Arabia
a way to get off of oil. It's a drug. You need to drop it like a bad habit.
It is. Saudi Arabia expects us as a planet to be off by 2060.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I graduated from high school in 1979.
Wow.
And that was not the reaction I was hoping to elicit, Casey. Wow.
No, I was thinking of it like, man, it'd take them 100 years.
This guy is old.
No, I was thinking 100 years from almost 100 years from when Russell graduates from high school, that we finally get off oil.
Oh, I hate you. Okay. So, and a lot of my friends, oddly enough, I fell in with a group. We all own Mustangs. I'm not a car guy at all, but they were all very car guys. And at one point, I don't remember, in our senior year, one of the group came up with some Motor Trend, Car and Driver, whatever, article about the end of oil. And again, this is like 1978, maybe early 79. They were saying that, and I don't remember the year, but I want to say it was 2020, that by 2020, there will be no oil left on planet Earth. And, what's going to happen in the years. And and because I'm rather stupid and very literal minded, I was literally thinking about like cans of oil on a shelf just disappearing slowly. And I just want to be the guy who has like a garage full of oil cans when that happens, so I can sell them on eBay for $1 million a piece. I got some great 80s era Pennzoil here for you. Okay.
In the steel cans. He's got the old school stuff.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Anyway, for a long time, I can't remember his name now. Damn, James something or another, a writer who was Mr. Peak Oil. He was like, peak oil, we hit peak oil and blah, blah, blah. And he had a lot of interesting things to say, mostly about new urbanism, but a lot about the peak oil. And guess what? Peak oil never happened. As it turns out,
the producers aren't the only factor in this equation. Just like Mark and I dropped out of gas altogether, you went hybrid. There's a point where the consumer is going to say, I'm done with this crap, and they're going to opt out. So just like when you've got that one breakaway entity that says, oh, this is good enough for me, I'm going to go. It all comes to an equilibrium, but hopefully that equilibrium can be fossil free at some point before 2060.
Yeah. As I have said, and we have agreed on this show many, many times, we have so many better uses for oil than burning it in personally owned vehicles. It's the base for an enormous amount of things, and that's what we should be focusing on, not how much we can burn, so that we can
ourselves
go
in a couple of years
again. Yep.
Right. We're going to be kicking ourselves in a couple of years when we want that cheap plastic or that certain type of fertilizer, or sometimes we use oil for medicine.
Yes.
So our children and grandchildren or great grandchildren are going to be looking at us like, those idiots had this gold mine and they burnt it when they could have used solar and wind, freaking bicycles, their own 2 feet.
No argument there. Yeah. Yes. Thank you, Kacey. Good story. I appreciate you bringing that in. Let's do some shout outs and go home.
Right.
Yay! There's only 3 of us here. We boom, boom, boom. I think those other people make the show longer.
I've got your corollary to that. You got me on Sunday with a 1 hour to 5 hour show with just one person.
There you go. Well, Kacey, you start us off.
Oh, so speaking of my 1 hour to 5 hour show, you can catch me at youtube.com/Kacey Green. You can watch it on the replay. A lot of folks do that. They'll catch a little bit of me live, and then they'll put me in their pocket and play me on speaker. I kind of tend to do that with. I was mentioned yesterday on the last show that I did that with Lex Freeman. He had an interview that ran 3 hours and 42 minutes. I was like, well, it's just him and a guy. I look at their faces to figure out how they interact with each other, their expressions. All right, in the pocket you go. I'm going to do my chores while I listen to you guys talk about AI and Tesla cars or whatever else. So you can do that with me too. YouTube.com/Kacey Green. Catch you on the flip side.
There you go. Thank you, Kacey Green. Mr. Mark Coughlin.
Just wanted to ask you to click that like button if you haven't already. Press that subscribe. Help us out. That would be much appreciated. And of course, if you would like to find out what's happening throughout the week, between shows, between that 7 or so days that Russell described at the beginning of the show, you can follow us on all the socials. Just look up What Drives Us. We're registered as that everywhere. Just click and subscribe and get yourself an update throughout the week. Back to you, Russell.
There you go. And do check out Mark's show, The Tesla Life, where you can hear him and Kacey and sometimes Patrick talk all about all things Tesla. I understand that next week they're doing a special extra long episode just about Twitter. No, they're not. No,
we've been avoiding Twitter on both shows.
There you go. Well, so you'll have to come here to get your Elon Twitter updates. I guess that's the one thing What Drives Us can hold on to.
That's right.
Russell and Twitter.
There's a topic you can really bite into, Russell.
Absolutely. Like, so do check out the Tesla Life. You can follow them on social media, Facebook, Twitter. Are you on Instagram?
Nope.
Good for you.
Got a couple good questions in there. Derek mentioned the Twitter Life, and again, we can guest on your show if you want to start it up.
Derek, you got to start it up. Yeah,
got the technology. I'll help you out. And then,
absolutely.
JT,
I am prevented from responding to that question, but let's just speculate that maybe if you're watching, if you're checking out the things and you get a notification, say maybe November 16th, maybe sometime after 6:30 p.m. Pacific. That's all I can say.
I can't wait to find out.
There you go. Me either. So definitely check out Mark's show. And JT, who knows? Could happen. That's all I got. Let's thank Mr. Michael Mannering for his Shaw the Notice. Yeah, I saw the. Oh, and by the way, one more thing about that. I've seen like the 2 teaser pictures from is a Car and Driver that I think Toyota sent the teaser shots to, and within minutes there are YouTube channels with totally faked, photoshopped old Prius pictures with like those pieces pasted on. This is the new Prius. It's the new Prius. Oh my God. Just stop, people. Just stop. Why don't people click on that shit? I mean, it's like, and I get it because they want to be first.
Maybe with $8 Twitter, there'll be less of it.
Yeah, maybe not. Thank Michael Mannering for his amazing theme music. Visit him at manthing.com and buy a song or two or an album. We appreciate it. I want to thank everybody in the chat room. Mo, Derek, JT. Who else was that? Mo, Derek, JT, Kacey Green. Who's that?
Kacey guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being in the chat. Thanks to all of you for watching and listening. My thanks to Kacey Green and Mark Coughlin for being on the show so that I didn't have to do it by myself because, wow, that would be a shitty show. Tune in next week and find out what drives us. I was so waiting for the Tesla Life theme. Just because it's like the Tesla Life here. Have a great week, everybody.
Good night.